So welcome everyone. And as you may have guessed from our song this morning, our theme is gratitude, and specifically gratitude as a form of prayer. Now, for those of you who might be my friends on Facebook, you're all my friends. I love you. But for anybody that we're connected via Facebook, you'll know that I've been doing a daily gratitude post. And I started this that first weekend, like when the toilet paper disappeared off the grocery store shelves. And I was sort of in this space of, not knowing, like everyone, what's going on and where things are going from here. But all of a sudden, things were disappearing that I wasn't expecting. So as a personal choice, I decided I'm going to do a daily gratitude post as we move through this. And at the time, I thought it was 2 weeks, right? We were originally given this, stay home, reduce going out for 2 weeks, and avoid groups of like 2,000 or more. And so I decided I was going to do a daily post, just focusing on one thing, one moment, one activity, one image that caught my attention during the day that I was grateful for. And I've been sharing this at the end of the day through my Facebook feed. And just saying, here's this one moment that I'm grateful for. What are you grateful for today? It has shifted, how I approach the whole day even, because I know when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to be focusing on one thing that I'm grateful for at the end of the day, which means all day long, I'm looking for things to be grateful for. And, I go and I get my camera and I take a picture of that little moment so that I remember it and I capture it, but also so I can share it forward. And so it's been this really healing and affirmative and uplifting experience for me personally to do this. And sort of an unintended side effect, if you will, of this process has been the response that I'm getting from other people in putting something positive out, again, which was just to serve me. It's serving other people as well. Other people are saying, I'm grateful for seeing these posts every day. I'm grateful for getting the opportunity to remember to be grateful during these times. And looking at, these uplifting images that are shared as well, that those are touching other people. So when we share from our hearts, when we express gratitude out, we never know that ripple effect, what that's causing in the world around us as well, that energy that we're putting out there. And so that's why I really think that gratitude in itself is a form of prayer. And so often I am inspired and grateful for nature and these little glimpses that I get of the divine through nature. So when I'm expressing my gratitude, I'm expressing my gratitude not just for a tree, but for the source of life that is that tree, that is God. So I believe that gratitude can be a very powerful prayer. I had a spiritual mentor who once said that one of the most powerful prayers you can ever utter is thank you, God. Just thank you, God. And so simple, right? So simple and yet so powerful. And that's what I would like to invite you to do today on your journal expression, is to create a visual prayer to God, a prayer of gratitude, a prayer of looking at perhaps one thing, perhaps 20. You don't have to limit yourself if you're doing this, one time, but if you wanted to keep this as an ongoing practice and do a daily gratitude page, think about one thing each day. You could extend it out or just make a giant list of all the things that you have to be grateful for in this moment, on this particular day. How many of you have ever had that experience where you wake up and stub your toe, or the alarm just didn't go off and you got up late and you're having to run around and it just seems like one thing goes wrong after another. Once that starts, it's like one or two things happen, and then it's like, and then this happened, then the coffee spilled in the car, and it's like you can cycle through this like Alexander and the horrible, no good, very bad day kind of moments. My son has those days. And he'll tell me, he'll get like midway through the day and he'll be like, this has been a bad day because this happened and this happened and this happened. And I always try to remind him, when that happens, well, would you like to continue that pattern, or would you like to shift it? Because all it takes is a shift in our consciousness to shift us from that pattern, of, and this happened that was negative, or bad, or, one stub toe after another. That shift, and gratitude can be that shift when we just take 5 minutes even to just really sink into that heart-centered, love-centered space of gratitude. Pray it out to Spirit. Thank you for all of these blessings in my life. Then the rest of our day follows the blessings. So it's truly a powerful practice. And I strongly believe in the hands-on approach to practicing spiritual truths. And that's why I invite you to do practices such as a visual journal, so that you process it yourself, process what does it feel like to experience this, and then see how it plays out in your life. Last week, we focused on the power of light, that inner light, and that idea of shining that light out as a prayer. And so many, even just after the art activity itself, were feeling that sense of lightness that came with it. So that's why we do, moving this from just an idea. Oh yeah, gratitude, that's a good practice, yeah. To our hearts, I feel the gratitude. And then out through our hands, right? Using creative materials to process it. And so it becomes this full cycle in our being. Now, earlier, before we had the cameras on, the question came up, what types of materials can we use in our journals? And I just so happen to have one of my journal baskets with me that I wanted to share with you. So I actually have 2 baskets now. But when I first started doing visual journals, I had one basket that I would keep on hand, so I could just turn behind me, wherever my creative space was for the day, or if I needed to bring it down to the living room or somewhere else, I could just grab this basket and my journal and take it somewhere. So it becomes really handy. I have in here just simple watercolors. They're not the fancy ones. And sorry, somebody else joining our group, so I'm gonna let her in. I have different types of colored pencils. I have a water-soluble style of colored pencils that I like to have on hand because you can blend them with water and a brush, kind of like a watercolor paint, but you can get a finer line on them. I always have permanent markers, Sharpies in different colors. I have in here charcoal pencils that are like in a big kit. All my drawing pencils, pastels, pan pastels. If you've ever worked with these, they're really fun. You can use like a little Q-tip or cotton ball or something and dab them around even a stencil or something and get a really soft sort of color to them. And I have a few different sets of just regular pastels in here. And then little things to make shapes, little circles and bubbles. I don't have the other kit over here. I have crayons, acrylic paints, and brushes and that sort of things as well. So stock a little basket or a bag. I also have a separate travel bag that I keep to take with me if I'm going out in the car somewhere and I want to bring my journal with me. So you can stock up, and then you have like a little set that you can easily take with you and do your art on the run or on vacation somewhere. So little tips for different tools that you can have on hand. And the biggest thing with art journaling is it is essentially keeping a journal like you would a diary. right? That like a daily practice. It doesn't have to be daily. If you guys just want to do it on Mondays, that's fine too. But the idea is using a combination of visual images as well as the written word. And sometimes the written word might be, you know, cut out words from a magazine that end up on your page. And other times it's something more like this, which was done with acrylic paints, lots of layers of paints and different textures. You see some of these textures in the background here were created with a the inside of a coffee cup holder. You know the little sleeves that they put on coffee cups, the travel cups, so you don't burn your hands. If you flip that inside out, the inside usually has a pattern. Some are ridged, which was this one was ridged, and others have like more of like a sort of woven, almost quilty kind of style. I saved those and I use them in my art journal. I just put a thin layer of paint on them and then stamp them like a rubber stamp onto the page. So this one was done using all acrylic paints in lots of layers. And then I took a pen and I wrote afterwards to process what came up during the painting. So the painting piece was sort of that presencing whatever was coming up for me, and then being able to journal respond to the process of what was coming up. Another one I wanted to share with you relies much more heavily on the written word, but as we're doing gratitude, you know, what am I grateful for? The written word sometimes is a nice, simple approach. So this one was a happiness list, which is essentially a gratitude list. The things in my life that made me happy, brought joy, which if you're still, you know, in that space, you know, maybe in an Alexander kind of day, it might be harder to move right into gratitude. So maybe what does bring me joy, and just focus on that. And so this was simply just a list of all the things that I found brought me joy. But then I spent the time decorating a border around it. And this was done using some of the water-soluble pastels that I have, but acrylics or watercolors, anything would work, you know, to create your design. You could even use magazine images cut out and paste them around the edge of things that bring you joy and happiness, that bring you moments of gratitude in your day. So I'm going to set you free to move into the space of creation and processing gratitude on the page for yourself. Before we do that, we will have a time of meditation to center into the present moment. Just take a moment to get comfortable where you're seated. Maybe notice your feet on the floor. Notice if you've been leaning forward and your shoulders are hunched over. And just straighten your spine. Maybe roll your shoulders a couple rolls. Roll your neck if you want to. Just relax the body. And then bring the body to a still point and begin to focus on the breath. Not controlling, not judging, simply noticing. Become aware of the inhale. Notice the exhale. We allow the breath to simply bring us to this present moment. Right here, right where we are, all of our needs are met. Right here, right where we are, Spirit is. And as we take the time to pause in our life, we find that there are so many things for us to be grateful for. It is within the pause, within the stillness, that our hearts overflow with joy for all that is, for all that we have, for all that we have to give, for all that we are to receive. We open ourselves now to that energy, that flow of peace within the stillness, as we take a moment to rest in silence. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. Thank you, God. And as we bring our awareness back to this moment in time, we allow ourselves to move into the creative process, knowing that the practice of creative expression helps us deepen our prayer experience. And so we move now into a time of creativity. But just know that I'm holding this space with you, holding the energy with you as you explore and express gratitude as a prayer on the page. And as we get ready to close out our session today in this energy of gratitude, in this energy of shared collective, I just wanted to share our donate page with you. You can give at unityartsministry.org/give. I'm so grateful for each of you and so grateful for the many ways that you do support this ministry with likes, with shares, with invitations, and letting people know that we're here. Truly, it is an honor and a blessing to be able to share in this way with you. So thank you all so much for being here.